Hello, hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the training on boundaries. I am so excited that you are here today and absolutely thrilled that I get to do this work with you. I have been on this journey of a lifetime and I love it. I mean, I'm so excited to do the work that makes my life better and then help other people do the same for themselves. So a little bit about me. My journey to personal power actually began with boundaries of all things. And boundaries around something as simple as working out. So I wasn't fighting for me yet. I just finished battling breast cancer and recovering from multiple surgeries and chemotherapy and radiation. And I was really sick and weak. And all I wanted to do was to get healthy for my kids so that I could be around for them. So I prioritized getting healthy and working out. And I knew it would take time and real commitment to rebuild my body. So I planned to start working out 3 times a week. So with little kids at home and being a stay-at-home mom, this was kind of a challenge for me. I had to figure out how to heal and strengthen myself, but also to care for my little kids. But in the meantime, I had to take a stand for what was important to me, and I had to prioritize me, which is really kind of weird for a lot of us who are moms of little kids. But there it was, stay-at-home mom of little kids, did not take time for myself. I didn't ever ask for self-care time, which is really kind of funny because I am now like the self-care queen. So here's how I made it happen. I joined the Y, where I could take the kids with me. I bought videotapes back when workout videotapes was a thing. And I wanted to stay active even when I couldn't leave the house. So when you look at this boundary here, that I made sure to prioritize my time. So that's one boundary. And then the second one, it's a boundary with myself that I actually had a plan B for, because this boundary for me, this prioritization was my health. So my plan B was the workout tapes. Okay. So along this path to wellness, I started to notice and really notice that when I worked out and took care of myself, I was just better at everything. I was more productive. I was in a better mood. I was happier. I was even a better mom. And this is 100% accurate. On days that I worked out, I felt amazing. And I didn't know this right from the start. Later, I realized that on days where I had gone to yoga, worked out, when it came time for bed and bath time, my kids could have as many toys in the tub as they wanted, and I would read as many stories as they wanted. I didn't care. I was happy. I was content. On the other hand, on days where I felt drained and depleted, I just had to get through the tasks, right? Even the beautiful tasks of taking care of my children, but I didn't have the energy for it, right? So anyway, I noticed the beauty of my workouts. And again, I know this now, but I didn't know it then. But today I know that boundary of taking care of myself and making myself a priority, and doing things that mattered to me was a boundary that actually just created me being a better person. It really helped me to do all the things that I wanted to do for me and for others. Okay, so as my mental state shifted, I became, my mental state shifted more positively, and so did my self-confidence. So this is fun. So I'm happy, right? All it took was taking care of myself, something to do that was important for me. So I'm generally in a better mood all of a sudden. And the next thing you know, I'm more confident. I mean, I didn't expect that to happen. So with this increase in confidence, I took a stand for myself and established boundaries that would include time for my self-care, whether or not my kids could come with me. And it's funny for me to say that now. And of course, my kids are older now, but back then it was such a huge move. Like, I'm going to do this no matter what. Obviously, I wouldn't leave them alone, but I really took a stand to prioritize me. So what I want to say here is we have to stop here just to acknowledge that this is the first time that I remember prioritizing my desires no matter what. The first time in my life that it was something just for me, not something I had to do for my health. I mean, now I think it is critical for health and self-care, but this was, it wasn't work. It wasn't a kid's doctor appointment. This was just for me. And that's a huge shift. So just kind of think about that. Is there something that you're doing that you're like, hey, this is what I want. This is for me. And it is a journey. So just kind of think on that. So I created this routine that included my self-care as a priority, just like so many things for everyone else, right, that existed on my family calendar. And to be clear, for a long time, I worked out. This, again, like, there's so much gold in this, just what I'm saying here, because for a long time, I worked out so that I could be healthy and around for my kids. That was it. I did not care enough about myself yet to prioritize it for me. This was all for the end game, that I could be around and be good, be here for my kids. All right. So after a few months, this little glimmer of light emerged in my chest. And I started to feel worthy for myself of the time and effort that I invested in yoga classes just for me. I mean, suddenly I wasn't just healthy, I was really healthy. And I was also doing these fun poses and just rocking it out and just having the time of my life. So it went beyond just this health. It was something that brought me actual joy. So this glimmer of hope becomes something, this little spark that says, hey, like, you are actually worth this. You are worth this. And it's like, oh my gosh, something is starting to like blossom in my chest that, like, I might be worthy, like, just me. I think I am actually worthy of doing the work for me. So years later to today, and it's been several years now, I work out for me first, and as a great example for others second. I meditate for me first, and to set an example for others second. I take care of myself first for me, and to model it others second. Okay, so what a shift. What a shift. The point is that I started to invest in myself for others. And from that self-investment grew the confidence and self-worth to make myself a priority. So let's highlight that self-investment. Even though I was doing it for someone else, that is true. And that's okay. If you're there and you need to get healthy or make changes for your family, great, start there. But from that investment in yourself, that promise to yourself, and then you follow through with that, confidence will grow, and self-worth will grow. And then from that, happiness grows because you trust yourself, you count on yourself, you know that you matter. All right. So what happens next after this investing in oneself? In my journey, it's kind of wild to me. So I felt and looked physically better. I was happier and more confident. I invested in myself, and all of this without just getting rid of my, shirking my family responsibilities and being a terrible person. Like, you can invest in yourself and not give up, or I don't know what I'm saying here, but not like shirk your responsibilities. You can do all of that. Okay. So my whole life just really lit up, and I'm not saying it was easy, because when things have been a certain way with you and how you treat others and prioritize everything in their life first, certainly things change. So not that it was an easy journey, but today I own multiple businesses and only businesses that bring me absolute joy. I've actually prioritized my businesses around what I want to do in my life. I mean, sometimes I just can't even believe that, but it's amazing and it's really fun. And this can happen for you as well. It's just like putting that self-investment in you just builds so much. So have these businesses that bring me absolute joy. I have incredible relationships with my children and an awesome team. And icing on the cake, within the last couple of years, I started a retreat business. So I'm traveling to the most beautiful destinations in the world because I'm like, well, yeah, why not? Let's just add this piece in. So I would have missed out on these things if I hadn't prioritized myself. If I had stayed in the place of only doing things for other people and making most of my life about other people, I wouldn't have these things in my life that bring me joy. Now, what I do is of service to others. Even this training, this free masterclass, this is service to others and it brings me joy. So when you invest in yourself, it's going to pay you back so much, so much. So I'm going to just circle this all back to that whole self-investment. So when I felt worthy, I created boundaries for me. But first I had to grow the self-worth, right? So the question is, do you feel worthy enough to create your own boundaries? So just think about that, like it's going to land with you. It's a yes or no or maybe. And remember, from my journey, I invested in myself for someone else, for my kids and my family. But from that self-investment came self-worth. So you have to do something for you. You have to do what's important to you. Your relationships will actually get better. Some might fall away, but those are typically from the people that they're not a yes for your personal growth and development. Okay, so just something to think about. All right, so moving forward for our class, I'm going in this masterclass today. I'm going to show you how to practice self-worth and create boundaries in your life so that you make sure you're living a life that really speaks to you, that lights you up, and that you're prioritizing what's important to you and creating a life of your dreams with people who treat you right. So that's another part of boundaries. So throughout this training, really think about your personal boundaries around your time, around what you do during the week, about working out or eating and things like that. And then your boundaries with what you will and will not accept with other people. Okay. So the boundaries are there to make sure we live a life that speaks to our values and we're happy, right? Okay, so now you are here, which means you are up to very big things in life. You have these big dreams and goals, and you're not afraid to go after them. So that's the beauty of this. So you are probably full of energy. You're just a badass and you go after things in a big way. So that gets people's attention. This is where boundaries come in, right? So you do have to protect your space. You can be just as badass as anyone. And people want that. They see that and they start to leak your energy, right? So you have to protect your space, your energy, and your vibe. So you only have so much to give. And if you are depleted and mistreated, you will never be able to work towards your health and lifestyle and travel goals. You can't really be a positive source for yourself or your friends or loved ones. Okay, I think that's worth repeating. If you're depleted and mistreated, you cannot be a positive source for yourself, your friends, or your loved ones. So remember that. We want to make sure we have people in our lives that are not depleting us. And, it's not always 50-50. That's very clear. Sometimes it's 80-20. But if it's a constant, someone is depleting you and it's a relationship that you can manage, then you must, manage it. All right. So let's see, I'm looking at my notes. Okay. So let's talk about, okay, we get it. We have boundaries are in place because people want to drain our energy pretty much or mistreat us. And why are boundaries hard? Why is it hard to set a boundary? Well, because we're nice. We're nice people. But sometimes so nice that we leak our energy to whoever is yelling the loudest, right? Trying to get our attention. And then we're afraid to stand up for ourselves, right? And we're nice and we don't want to be a bad person. And sometimes we feel like it's our job to prioritize others over ourselves, or that maybe we're being selfish if we choose something for us instead of another person. So understand boundaries are hard, and especially the part about communicating the boundaries. We can be just as badass as we want to be when we're writing stuff on paper, but when it comes time to look at that person, especially if it's a person that we want to continue a relationship with, we get scared. We're afraid, like, what is the tipping point going to be? Are they just going to leave if I establish this boundary? The truth is they might. I've had it happen a few times, and in the end, it's okay, because if they can't handle a healthy boundary, it's nothing rigid, right? So we'll talk about that too. But if the person can't handle a healthy boundary, then they're only being a yes for themselves and not a yes for you and your happiness. And in the end, it's not healthy for us. Okay. So I'm going to show you how I use boundaries to achieve the life that I love, my healthy lifestyle, my fitness and business goals. I will show you how I identify where I need boundaries. How I communicate my boundaries, how I establish consequences if the boundaries are breached, and then how I stand behind my decisions so that I can plug any energy leaks, stand in my full power, and release the baggage that comes from carrying everyone else's emotional stuff and to-do list, right? So you get that. Release the baggage that comes from carrying around everyone else's emotional stuff and to-do lists. So it can be exhausting, right? So let me give you a definition. This is my personal definition of boundaries. Personal boundaries are the limits and rules I set for myself, with myself, and with others. So I set this for myself with me. I have a rule with myself. I have a contract with myself, not a written one, but you get it, and with others. So when I'm practicing healthy boundaries, I can say no to limiting behaviors. I can say no to others when I want to, but I'm also comfortable opening up to spontaneity, intimacy, and close relationships. So in this space of personal growth and developments, we're going to talk about how the boundaries happen in two different ways. One is when I understand my values, what's important to me, I know how I want to act. I know what I want for my life, and I hold myself accountable to these values. So some boundaries in my life, they are around health and fitness. A lot of them are around health and fitness, yoga, meditation, sauna. So I give myself goals for the week, and I create boundaries around that to make sure I show up for that. Now, let's say a friend calls me up and wants to go have coffee during my yoga class time. I can open myself up to spontaneity by making sure I can schedule another class time or hop on one of my on-demand classes. Also, I'm a yoga teacher, so I can teach myself. But so that's what I'm saying is I have the boundary, but it's a healthy boundary. I'm not rigid. I understand when emergencies come up or a non-emergency that's just a fun life thing. Okay. So next, I understand my worth. I'm clear on how I want to be treated by others. And I communicate these boundaries within personal and work relationships, right? The communicating and following through. None of the boundaries work if we don't follow through. Yes, there's always room for improvement. Yes, there's room for, I mean, we could call it messing up, but life is never going to be 100% perfect. But to know what your boundaries are, to know what you want, and to be really serious about creating a schedule, creating time to make it happen, and to be able to say no when something consistently comes up to get you off track to the life that you want. Remember, your confidence, which leads to your self-worth, which leads to you making decisions to live a life that you want. This is your happiness. This is your life. It matters. All right. So why are these boundaries important? So more on that. Lacking boundaries will burn you out. People catch on to your high vibe and man, they want it. You know that. Like they see that you're unstoppable. They see the light in your eyes and they see you getting shit done. So the only problem with that is that your inner circle may call on you constantly and they're not getting, they think that you have this endless supply of energy. And it's true, some of us have more energy than others, but none of us have an endless supply, right? I mean, a lot of times when someone sees that energy in you, they think they can just like siphon off of you. Think about this, like someone sees you have a lot of energy, a lot of time, free time, right? A lot of money. They may think, well, why not? I'll just take a little bit from them or ask a little bit from them and it shouldn't hurt because they have so much. And I'm a huge proponent for giving back. Absolutely. However, think about, is this a person that keeps doing this to you? Do they keep draining you without really giving anything back? And it's something that you notice that doesn't feel right, because there is a difference in someone that you're just constantly giving to versus you have a plan, like you want to support a person, an organization, something like that. You'll know, like in your gut, when you feel used, right? When you feel like someone's pressing past your boundaries, and it's no fun, but it's good to know, right? So let's see. Okay. Also, we love them. We love these people that keep coming after us, right? And a lot of times when we first establish the boundary, it feels terrible. However, when I said it, burnout is a problem, they will burn out your time, your energy, and your money. I know I have dealt with that, and I've had multiple people deal with that. So you really have to, you get to keep loving them, and you have to put your boundary up that protects your energy, your headspace, your heart, and how you feel about yourself. You love the heck out of them, but you only have so much to give. Along with this burnout comes resentment if you lack boundaries. If you continue to let them leak off of you, I don't know if that's the right word, but you get it. Like if you continue to allow them to drain your energy, you will resent them. So where truth is missing, and this truth here would be, this doesn't feel good to me, and I keep giving it to you anyway. So where truth is missing, resentment lives. And I say almost in equal parts. Like I've seen that, right? If it's just a little bit of, well, they need this and it's not a big deal, you resent it a little bit. But if it's constant and continuous, you resent it a lot, right? So where the truth is missing, resentment lives. So when you say yes and you want to say no, you're going to resent the other person. Okay. All right. Next problem with lacking boundaries is that you will diminish your self-worth. Ugh, what could be worse than that? So when I prioritized everyone before myself, I was sending a very clear signal to myself that these people mattered more than me. Everything about them mattered more, and I really didn't matter. I just, did the thing. I prioritized everyone else, took a back seat, said no when I wanted to say yes, said yes when I wanted to say no, all of those things. So what do you think that did to my self-esteem? After I showed myself again and again and again that I wasn't important. Yeah. Ugh. It was, takes a lot to pull yourself out of that. It took a lot for me, and a lot of conscious practice of saying no when I meant no, and saying yes when I meant yes. So you just have to practice it, and it is practice. It's practice. So resentment, burnout, and diminished self-worth problems if you're lacking boundaries. But if you put boundaries in, oh my gosh, the best part, you will improve your happiness. Boundaries create an emotional safety net by preventing others, and it's you become like the super girl of your story. So they create an emotional safety net by preventing others from mistreating you or taking advantage of you or thinking that you're just going to put up with shit all the time. It takes the one hard thing for you to do, which is establish and communicate the boundary. That's the tough part. But after that, you have become such a warrior and such a stand for yourself, and so freaking strong. It is beautiful. So by protecting your emotional space, you will reduce your stress, reduce overwhelm, and reduce the emotional exhaustion plus physical exhaustion, right? It's emotionally exhausting. It's physically exhausting. So when you get rid of that, you then open yourself up to focus on the people, relationships, and experiences, travel, workouts, things like that, that bring you joy. You also increase your self-respect. So setting boundaries shows you that you respect yourself, and it sends a message to others that your desires and feelings matter. How cool, right? So when you honor your boundaries, you really reinforce your own value and worthiness from your viewpoint. And that leads to increased happiness and self-acceptance, self-love, self-trust, all the things. So you see this from yourself. You see this for yourself, this increased self-worth, and others see it because energy doesn't lie. Okay, now the fun part. Well, it's all good. But, we all want great relationships. We are humans. We want great relationships. So with boundaries, you will improve your relationships. I have actually found that boundaries they bring clarity and provide structure within my relationships. When I clearly communicate my expectations and limits, I have taken the responsibility to establish a clear foundation for the relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. So I think people are sometimes impressed with the fact that someone cares enough about them to communicate a boundary. It's like, whoa, instead of walking away when I had this behavior that you didn't like, you actually told me I didn't like it. And now we can go from here. You actually improve your relationships when you communicate these boundaries instead of cutting them off at the knees, right? So when you have these relationships built on this clarity and mutual respect, you have the potential, very likely, to reduce conflicts and resentments, as long as you're communicating what's on your mind, right? Because they already know what the expectation is. So if they breach the expectation, the conflict shouldn't be too surprising. We do have conflict within relationships, but we can talk it out versus, just kind of, it's having a freak show happen that people didn't know what the expectation was. So,
Connecting.
turn that off. Okay. So I have found this to actually be incredibly true at home, within personal relationships, outside of home, and at work. Communicating the boundary, oh my gosh, it just really tightens up relationships. People know what to expect. They're not thrown off guard. They're not surprised by anything. It's all good. And next, this is my favorite thing on the planet. So creating boundaries expands your personal power. Yes. Who doesn't want a little more personal power? It's like the best thing in the world. Really quick, I have a book for you. If you are kind of like scientifically nerdy, like human, kind of what makes people tick, this is a great book. It's by Amy Cuddy. It's called Presence. So I'm going to give you some information from her book, which is why I'm telling you now. It's a pretty thick book. She is a Harvard educated psychologist. I want to say she's a professor there too. So don't quote me on that, but her name is Amy Cuddy. She has one of the top 10 TED Talks. Her book is called Presence. And it's very it's a thick book, and there's so much study done on people who feel powerful. So people who feel powerful, so this is personal power, right? They actually don't want to stomp anyone down. They're nicer to people. They give back more. They give to the community, and they actually empower others. So on the flip side, people who feel powerless, they're cranky. They try to steal other people's power. They're more likely to talk about people, kind of try to take other people down because they feel like they don't have any power and they want to get up here. Those in their power, nice, give back to the community, all of that. So you really want to be in your full power. All right. So setting boundaries challenged me. This is so beautiful, and it will challenge you as well. The boundaries challenged me to explore my needs, my wants, my desires, and my limits. And I really would think about these boundaries in personal relationships and at work, about what can I take, what won't I take, and why. And then as I did this work to think about what really mattered, here come the boundaries, right? And I stand behind that because I really thought about it. And my boundaries are not to take power away from anyone else. They're meant to keep me happy and in my power. So through setting and maintaining boundaries with other people and with myself, I have gained self-awareness and insight into what makes me happy and what I want for my life. So this beautiful self-discovery journey has fueled my personal growth, has given me a stronger sense of identity, and has led to a very deep, deep sense of fulfillment and joy. So I am thrilled to be an anchor of support for you as you embark on this journey. Get in your power. I call it peaceful power, personal power, peaceful power, but I don't, there's no need to shout this from the rooftops, but I'm more like that. When you truly are in your power, you're pretty chill, right? In most situations, we're not talking about a bear coming after your child. We know that's different. But on a day-to-day basis, you're just chill. And when someone acts crazy, like bypassing your boundaries that you put out there, depending on the relationship, it could frustrate you, make you mad. You can communicate that back to them. But like in the world, when you're talking about the world around you and people are just bananas, some people, you're like, wow, interesting. Glad I'm not dealing with that, right? So you can be really chill. You're probably not the person that's getting in social media fights, right? You don't care. You let it roll off your back because that's obviously a person not in their power. And once you have your power, you can see it. You can spot it a mile away when someone is like losing their mind, and it's because they're not in their power, right? So I establish and refine my boundaries as needed. And you want to really think about that too, because a boundary that I had, maybe 2 years ago is different now, right? So probably not my core values, but certain boundaries with in my personal relationships and with work. So I establish and I refine them as needed. So as life changes, I can change and still stay on track to what I want. So when I choose to communicate with someone or put a boundary around my time for personal growth or wellness, I am showing myself that I matter and that my beautiful life matters too. So to be super clear, sometimes the boundaries are just tough and scary, right? But every time they have made a difference. And I'm also open to feedback from people with my boundaries. I want to collaborate. That's part of being in your power, is that you have the boundaries and you're open to listen to others as well. So boundaries are not easy. I'm not saying that they are. The name itself implies something of conflict, right? This is a boundary. I will not accept it, right? But the deal is, if we want to change, we are the one that has to initiate a conversation, which can just make us feel sick inside. And I just want you to really dial into this. So we know that boundaries are tough. It makes us feel kind of nauseous when we think about communicating it. So we want to be nice. We want to be nice, but withholding the truth and harboring resentment isn't nice. We want to be nice, but withholding the truth and harboring that resentment that lives between the truth and reality, it isn't nice. Next, we love our people. Yes, we do. And shouldn't we trust that they love us too and want what's best for us? So we love our people. Shouldn't we trust that they love us too and want what's best for us? If it isn't true that they love us and want what's best for us, if they don't feel that way, then perhaps that's a perfect reason to establish a boundary. Okay, and next, another tough thing that gets in the way of establishing boundaries, we don't want to hurt their feelings. But our resentment does hurt them. And it damages the relationship, sometimes beyond repair. It definitely stops the relationship from going anywhere because you're just settling. You're sitting around resentful, right? You're like looking at the other person like, okay. So you got to get over the fear of hurting someone's feelings and maybe just practice how you would communicate it. And even say to the person, I've done this before. Okay, I'm nervous to say this, but I'm going to tell you this because I care about you and I want our relationship to expand, right? It is scary stuff, but you can at least acknowledge it, right? Okay, so our relationships and the outcome, this is where we come in our personal power and taking accountability. Our relationships and the outcome of our lives depends on taking a stand for what we want. Oh my God, is that so crazy? It also depends on communicating those desires with whoever is involved, and then taking action and following through on what matters to us. There is no other way. There's just no other way. Our relationships and our lives depend on taking a stand for what we want, communicating that, and then taking action and following through. All righty. Okay, so I promised at the beginning of this class to show you how to practice self-worth and create boundaries so that you're prioritizing what's important in your life and creating a life of your dreams with people who treat you right. So let's do it. Okay. Okay, so the people in the Pure Energy Club, you are going to get this homework written down. And I am going to share my screen now with these questions on it. So if you're not in the Pure Energy Club, you can just snap the picture. So let me get to that. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, give me one moment. Boundaries Masterclass. Share screen. Here we go. All right. Let me expand this. There's my Italian lessons in the background. Taking Italian now, so fun. Okay, here we go. So the promise, show you how to practice self-worth and create boundaries so that you live a life that lights you up, prioritizing what's important to you and creating a life of your dreams with people who treat you right. All right. So here are the questions. And take a screenshot if you want to, or if you're in Pure Energy Club, you'll get these. So name someone who thinks that you have so much excess of time, money, or energy that you should be happy to let them siphon from you to meet their needs. Number 2, name someone who you're most likely to say yes to when you mean no. There, ooh, oh, something happened to that picture. That's all right. Okay, so here the boundaries are in action right now. You are doing the work identifying who you need to set a boundary with, or identifying a boundary that needs to happen. Number 3, what is the typical situation when you say yes and you mean no to the person that you named in number 2? Typical situation when actually you really don't want to, but you say yes anyway. Number 4, how do you feel when you say yes, when you actually mean no? How does it make you feel? And I would actually say to notice the feeling and where does it land in your body? How do you feel when you say yes and you really mean no? Where is it coming up? And number 5, what will you say next time so that you establish the boundary you need with that person? What will you say? So it would be very easy for you to say, well, I'm just going to say no, because that's what I mean. But relationships are tricky, they're complicated, they're complex. So maybe write something out. Maybe you could actually stop it from happening. Like, how badass would that be if you are the person that realizes you need a boundary, that you actually create your boundary and just bring it up as a conversation with someone? I mean, it is challenging, but I'm telling you, it's like the work is gold. It's absolutely gold. So whatever it is, maybe you just stop it before it happens and tell the person how much you care about them, but you won't be able to do this because, well, you don't actually have to explain yourself. There's no because. Some people you'll want to explain yourself to, maybe your mom or your children or something like that, a partner. You can explain yourself, but sometimes you don't need to. All right, so that's it. These are the questions that are going to help you create your boundary and live a life that you want. Okay, so if you would like to go deeper with this work, I have a couple of opportunities for you. One, if you want one-on-one coaching, you can go to goyogaexpress.com/life coaching. You can go there right now and get on my calendar to have just a chat and see if we're a good fit, or just dive right in and get coaching. We also have Pure Energy Club that is available to you. It should be in one of the emails that you received. If not, you can DM me directly. It's a great small group where we support each other doing these awesome life goals of healthy eating, meditating, personal growth and development, like this masterclass here, and also fitness. We do challenges and things like that, and connect with each other and support each other along this amazing journey. So I just want to thank you so very much for being with me today. I appreciate you so much. I'm so glad you're here and thrilled to do this work with you. Remember, people in their power are much nicer to others. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. DM me if you have any questions or you would like coaching or the Pure Energy Club. Thank you so much. And that's the end of our call.